that's up to you guys. I'm, you know, I don't have any problem with it. I mean, discuss it.
It's just the next step.
Yeah, I mean, you've kind of seen this before. This is the whole alignment now.
Yeah.
And if you saw the thing, it's much better than what we have. So
Yeah.
we're happy with that. So it
I move that they.
Commissioner? How are you? Having more fun than you like.
So this is what I read. This is what we did last time.
yeah.
I'll stick around for that at least.
Granted, the wire would need inspection.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, March 25th, and we're here for the Franklin County Board of Commissioners meeting. I will call the meeting to order and ask that you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adoption of current agenda. Is there any additions or corrections?
Mr. Chairman, I would ask that we would add 2 adjustments. Item B, under regular business, I would ask that that would be moved to consent. And then between items B and C on regular business, that we add an executive session under RCW 4230-110-1I for 20 minutes.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Public comment. Is there anyone in the room for public comment? If so, please come forward, state your name, and you have 3 minutes. Good morning.
Jen Roscoe. I just want to let you guys know that this week or last week, I met with Christopher Deere from the Veterans Center regarding a therapeutic court veterans track. He is willing to support us, and we're kind of working out some things right now. But while we were in that discussion, he handed me invitations to their gala, and he wanted me to give them to you guys. So
All righty. Thank you.
obviously, do with those what you will, but we wanted to make sure that you receive them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the room for public comment? Good morning.
My name is Hillary Muai. I'm here today to speak about the situation surrounding the split of the Ben the very real impact it will have on our community, our youth, and the employees who serve them. I have been a resident of Franklin County for 16 years, where I've been raising my children. This community matters deeply to me. Unfortunately, this split has not been handled in a coordinated or transparent way. The 2 counties have been unable to come to clear agreements, and communication consistent at best. As a result, there is uncertainty, not just for leadership, but for the people on the ground doing work every day. And those people matter. The employees at the Juvenile Justice Center are not just staff, they are mentors, role models, and a critical part of the rehabilitation for these youth. When you destabilize that workforce, you are also destabilizing the outcomes for the kids they serve, and that can have a ripple effect on the community safety. This is not just a policy decision, it has real human consequences. My husband is one of those employees. He has been a probation officer there for 14 years, and he is the main provider for a family of 3 boys, 2 of them teenagers. His entire caseload is made up of gang-involved youth, not because he has to take that assignment, but because he wants to make a difference in our community. Because of the split, he is currently number 11 based on seniority of a 12-person layoff list, 8 of those positions being probation officers. We do not know if he will have a job. We don't know when these layoffs will take place. We don't even know how many positions Franklin County plans to offer or whether he will be considered. The only communication he has received is a single email stating how many employees may be laid off. No timeline, no clarity, and no plan. That kind of uncertainty affects families, morale, and ultimately the quality of service being provided right now. I am not an expert on county budgets, but I do hope, and honestly I pray, that through this there's enough funding to keep those positions and avoid overworking the staff who remain. Because if there isn't, kids and families will fall through the cracks, and that will affect our community and the sense of safety we all rely on. I'm not here to argue whether counties should or shouldn't separate. I understand that budgets matter. But how this is being done matters just as much. A rushed, uncoordinated split with poor communication puts employees, families, and vulnerable youth at risk. It creates instability in a system that cannot afford it. I'm asking you to improve communication between counties and prioritize a clear, organized transition plan, one that considers not just cost savings, but people and the safety of our community. Because the way this is handled will be felt far beyond this building, in our homes, our schools, and our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
My name is Marcy Torres, and I am here. And I want to thank every single one of you for being here today, for making the time to come together and find solutions to the problems that we are creating in family court. And I'm glad that Mr. Bronson Brown is here, because actually, today, I'm talking about you. Fran Warndrock, you know, in her case, she was almost murdered by her abuser, who currently has custody of their child.
Ma'am, you need to address the Board of Commissioners. Thank you.
Who currently has custody of their child. Almost murdered. There's a lawsuit on the Amber Rodriguez case, $50 million. Who's going to pay that lawsuit if it's not taxpayers? Why are we criminalizing parents that are safe for their children? Why aren't we investigating false allegations of abuse? In my case, CPS investigated. There was police reports that said there was no abuse. Yet that was still weaponized and my child taken away with false allegations of abuse. So if the prosecutors were doing their job and actually going after the criminals, Norma Rodriguez allowed Denali Anderson's killer to go free. Only 2 months later, end up in Benton County for kidnapping somebody else. This is ridiculous. And it's time that we get to work for the people. That's what we are here for. That's what we get paid for. This is only 8 months of harassment, legal harassment. I left my abuser to come to the courts and be abused by the courts. All these judges know that this is happening, and they do nothing to protect women that are going through domestic violence. And when I went to the domestic violence advocate to let them know that I was being retaliated against, they told me to be quiet. They told me to not say anything. And as someone that has survived domestic violence, I know that violence thrives in silence, and I will not stay silent anymore. So I'm here to ask you to please hold people accountable. There should be no reason why we should have pending lawsuits of $50 million. I've asked for protection in the courtroom and was denied a protection order. But my abuser, not even 7 days after I won a wage mandate of $120,000 in my case, my son was taken away from me with a protection order. And I was allowed 2 supervised visits a week, but his dad has not allowed me to see him. So please, hold these people accountable, and if they can't do their jobs, they should leave that place open for someone who's willing to work for the people. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
somebody's cell phone is ringing in the room. Would you please silence that?
I was not going to make public comment until after a lot of the agenda was sufficed to continue to redress grievances and speak to constitutional matters. But one thing I do want to make you aware of, and I know that the judges are very aware of what's called a reconciliation counseling program, is to resolve issues like that. I am personally aware of what it does and how it works. I'm seeing children and parents given time with a trained professional that literally puts parents back in relationship with their children in a proper manner. And at least it's been tried, and it meets out the situations that are very difficult to adjudicate for our judges. But I do not see that being used, and I would affirm that that is something that needs to be used. And I've seen it used up in Spokane County. It is very helpful, especially to the children. They are traumatized and marred for life because of the process is not quite robust. So thank you for that. I just want to put that on the record.
Anyone else in the room for public comment? We have a caller on the phone.
Yes.
Good morning. My name is Marie Redout, and I am a longtime Washington lifetime resident living in Richland. I've worked in law enforcement since, gosh, back in the 90s when I was 30-something. But I did want to contact you guys here today to kind of say, when things matter to you, you take action. I really want this stuff to matter to you regarding the family court issues and the families being torn apart, protection orders being weaponized against different parts of the family. And that's a tough thing because I've in law enforcement, I have been party to having to go to somebody and say, hey, there's this temporary order. You have 10 minutes to get your stuff and get out, right? And it's harsh. And there's no way for us to know at the time that that's what's really happening. And it's relied upon that the justice system is supposed to navigate that and help that out. But they don't. And those wishful thinkings have gotten worse and worse and worse. They're just not there. You don't have a system that's set up to help these families reunify. You have supervisors that are supposed to be providing supervised visitations for one parent that's deemed the abuser. And that word is thrown around a lot without any verification, and it's not right to do that either. Okay, you don't just walk into a courtroom and have somebody accuse you of it and have somebody sign off on it, and then now you're an abuser. There's more to it than that, as it should be, but it doesn't happen that way. Supervisors, you pay them a certain amount of money so that you can see your kid or kids. Okay, that supervisor makes an accusation if they don't like what you're doing. Hey, there's a safety concern. We're not having any more visits. 2-3 months later, you finally get back into court where you have to pay. And if you don't have an attorney, you're going to have to go pro se. If you do have an attorney, it's going to cost you a couple grand just to go back and say, hey, what's going on? Because they don't tell you. They just stop the visitations and you don't see your kids. That's not okay. And then they don't have reports that are completed. They're unprofessional at best, and they still don't have the accusation fulfilled. If you say there's a safety concern, it needs to be a safety concern that you can articulate in writing that the child or children were in an unsafe environment that you're supervising. How does that happen? How is that unsafe to where you can stop visitations without a judge's order, without anything, just a supervisor that you're ordered to see and ordered to pay? It's not okay. You guys, this needs to matter to you too. You're not feeling it because it doesn't happen to you. And everybody can say, well, it's not going to happen to me. It hasn't happened to me, so why should I care? You need to care because it can happen to you, one of your family members, anybody actually in your family. And when it matters to you, you will act. I've listened to Jerome Delvin say that y'all are controlled by the West Side. I've listened to him say that you're going to sit and listen, but you're not going to be able to get the help you need from us. We want your help. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room for public comment? You do have a caller on the phone?
Yes.
All right.
Controlled by the West Side. I've listened to him say that you're going to...
Caller,
Yes.
you have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Hello, this is Jim Klein. I'm an attorney for the Benton Franklin County Juvenile Court Guild. I thank the commissioners this morning for hearing our presentation. There was a speaker earlier that commented on the same issue. I was asked by the Guild also to bring this issue to the county commissioners. I realize that the two counties, Benton and Franklin County, are having discussions and trying to resolve current funding issues. What the Guild wanted to convey to the commissioners is not just how important this issue is to the members we represent, and that was obviously presented by the earlier speaker, but we also wanted to alert the commissioners to the public safety importance of this issue to Franklin County and to the entire community. The role of the employees we represent is a vital public safety role. These probation officers are working with juvenile offenders and making serious and often successful efforts to turn the lives around of these juvenile offenders before they become adults, before they get into the adult justice system, which is a justice system that the people in the law enforcement and public safety community recognize is usually not effective other than incarcerating people. That once they get into the adult system, it is really hard to get their lives turned around. And the best opportunity to do this is when they're young and juveniles, and that's what this population is working with. What the Guild wanted me to also convey to the members is realizing the finite time and resources the commissioners have. We wanted to invite you to talk with some of our members and come in and actually get information from them about what they do on a daily basis, how they execute the work, some of the success stories they have. Finally, all this goes to being able to figure out a way to properly budget the positions so that we can maintain the level of court officers that they are. Because if that number diminishes, public safety will diminish with it. So again, I thank the commissioners for hearing on this issue today, and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room for public comment? Hearing, seeing none. Approval of consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move for approval of consent agenda items 1 through 6 and also item B from regular business as presented.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to regular business. Presentation, Washington Risk Pool, presented by Chuck Boyd, Executive Director, Washington County's Risk Pool. Good morning.
Morning, commissioners.
It was 42%.
Thank you, Commissioners, for your time this morning. Again, I'm Chuck Boyd. I'm the Executive Director of the Washington County's Risk Pool, the insurance provider for Franklin County. I wanted to talk with you today about the Risk Pool. The county has submitted its notice of intent to withdraw from the pool at the end of this year, December 31st of 2026. It's my understanding a decision hasn't been made on what the wishes of the county are for insurance needs moving forward. So this is a longer presentation that I'm going to move through the slides very quickly. But at the end of the day, twofold: one, to talk to you, allow for any questions that you have of me, but also to give you information about the risk pool. So as you compare and contrast what the county wishes to do, you can see where things stand, and at the end of the day, where the money goes as far as when it comes to the Washington County's risk pool and how we operate and what we do. With that, we were created in 1988 under the statute. Insurance for public entities got super expensive. Municipalities, in our case, the Washington County's risk pool, counties came together to form the risk pool for joint purchasing of insurance. This is our organizational chart. Basically, each county has a seat at the table on the board of directors. So there's one director from each county that's appointed by the Board of Commissioners or County Council to be the voting member for the risk pool when we have our meetings twice a year. We have a summer conference and board meeting, and then the fall conference and annual meeting is where rates are set. Insurers that we purchase insurance from are selected for the following year. The county appoints a claims administrator, and that is the contact for the adjusters at the risk pool to work with the county when we do get claims or lawsuits that come in, and work together to determine the best course of action for the claim or the lawsuit to move it to a resolution, whatever that resolution may be. The county also appoints a risk manager, and in some cases, in case of Franklin County, Mr. Briggs is both the claims administrator and the risk manager that's appointed to the risk pool. So our risk team works with Mr. Briggs directly for any risk management related activities that you're doing within the county or that the pool is seeing or doing on behalf of our member counties. We have an 11-member executive committee that President, Vice President 1, Vice President 2, and Secretary and Treasurer, they oversee and vet all of the information that goes to the board for actual board business during the conferences and board meetings. And they also exercise their authority where delegated, specifically settlement authority when it comes to a claim or a lawsuit that we're looking to settle, depending on the value of the case. Will depend whether or not the executive committee needs to weigh in. We also have an investment committee that oversees the investment of all of the pool funds and assets. A finance committee that reviews and oversees the pool's finances as far as our operating budget for each fiscal year, which recently changed. We were a 10/1 to 9/30 fiscal year up until 1/1 of 2026. So we are now on a calendar year in line with our member counties as far as budgeting purposes. So we're 1/1 to 12/31. We have a risk management committee that reviews the claims data and what's going on in our environment, obstacles that we're facing, and what can we do from a risk management standpoint to recommend to the board of directors risk management initiatives that we should take on and prioritize. Our underwriting committee reviews the coverage document, what we call the MLC or Memorandum of Liability coverage. What sets us apart, we're not an insurance company, is that we do have a coverage document, but the board of directors, we create our own. And the board of directors vote on the coverage document on what's covered and what's not. A quick example of that and how we can change where insurance companies don't. During COVID, insurance companies came out with an exclusion for communicable diseases. We looked at that, and at that time, we had a $2 million self-insured retention, meaning counties have their deductible, the risk pool was responsible up to the first $2 million of any claim, and then it went to the reinsurers and excess insurers. Since they came to us with an exclusion, and we can do what we choose with our money, meaning the membership can do what it chooses with the money, we gave a give back of coverage, which an insurance company wouldn't do. They just said it's not covered for communicable diseases, for actions or inactions, so on and so forth. I won't get into the rabbit hole of the coverage portion of it, but what we were able to do is say with our $2 million, we can offer up to $1 million in coverage per occurrence and $2 million in the aggregate for the year. So we have the ability to be nimble with our coverage to meet the needs of our member counties where you wouldn't see that in the typical insurance market. Personnel committee oversees the pool's personnel, staff, salaries, compensation, and so on. This year is the first year we had started a legislative steering committee. We stood it up within 3 months. We've never had a lobbyist before. We've never done active legislation. It's been more of reactive. We may testify here and there or give an opinion on legislative issues, but tort reform is a very big priority for us given the current environment of the claims that we have and the exposures that we're seeing. So we're trying to take a proactive approach to that. Issues with Washington. Washington is a tough jurisdiction. Insurance companies shy away from Washington for simple reasons. We have no tort caps. So if jury awards a dollar amount, then that's what we may be on the hook for, barring any legal options that we have available to us. We talk about nuclear verdicts, and that's anything over 10 million. We're actually now talking about thermonuclear verdicts, which is anything over $100 million, which the largest verdict that I've seen in the last year actually came out of Yakima County for a UPS driver, was originally awarded on employment discrimination, wrongful termination. We'll get into the details of the case, but a jury gave him $239 million. 199 of it, I believe, was punitive damages, and the rest was compensatory. That is a massive number. That is a budget-crushing number. That is a bankruptcy number for risk pools, for insurance companies. But again, that's what came out of from the jury. So now, when I see headlines, if I see a $5 million verdict, depending on the case, City of Seattle had a school district teacher punch a student. I do not condone that, but one punch without any long-term injuries was an $8 million verdict from a jury in Seattle. Joint and several liability, which is probably the biggest thing that we face when we talk about, do we settle a case, do we not? Because we may feel that we did absolutely nothing wrong. But if a jury were to find that we did 1%, it said, hey, we're going to do the county a favor. They could have done something a little better. We're going to give them 1% liability. If the other party can't pay it, we get to, and we're perceived as the deep pocket. Our membership has $20 million in coverage limits through the risk pool, and we end up paying for a lot of claims that we may not because of the joint and several liability exposure. A quick example in joint and several liability auto accidents. If I'm driving my car, Mr. Briggs is driving his, and Commissioner Bauman's my passenger, he's an innocent party as long as he had nothing to do with the accident. So it's a fight between Mr. Briggs and I as far as who's responsible, maybe 50-50, maybe 100% one side or the other. Doesn't matter as far as Commissioner Bauman is concerned. He's going to collect 100%, and he gets to choose who he collects it from. That becomes an issue with joint and several liability, and it is a big factor when it comes to settling a claim because we run the risk of we get hit with 1%, we may get hit with the entire verdict. And then litigation investment funding. It's not new, but it is something where plaintiffs' bar is seeking investment funding to fund litigation against insurance companies and against municipalities. And it's profit-driven. The whole thing is profit-driven for funding. And there's wins and losses in litigation. They're looking for the wins and finding a way to fund it. So when we talk about financing losses from a county's perspective, there's three options: purchase insurance, self-insure, or join a pool, which is what we do. In Washington, 24 counties are members of the Washington County Risk Pool. 10 are members of the other risk pool out of AFREDA, and the big five are self-insured. King, Pierce, Nahomish, Kitsap, and Clark County, basically due to size and financial ability to self-insure. But when we talk about purchasing insurance, we talk about budget predictability. Yes, you talk to an insurance company, they say this is your cost. It's costly, there's less control. Just like in our personal lives, if you tender a claim to State Farm or Allstate, you have no say in it, you have no control, the insurance company handles it, and you're at the mercy of the premiums should claims arise. Self-insuring, you keep the premiums, you have full control, but there's high risk, high volatility. And then pooling. The intent of pooling is to share cost and stability. It does require trust and cooperation between our member counties to do the right thing, to have everybody have a mindset of risk management. But one of the other key things that separates us from pooling, and this is specifically as the county is weighing its options when we talk about costs, because there was a large increase this last year. I'm very aware of that. And we've seen that since I've been with the pool. Costs have gone up exponentially. When I first started with the pool in 2018, if I remember correctly, we were paying $8 to $9 million a year for all of our counties, 2 insurers. We paid over $19 million just for liability insurance this year for 2026. But specifically when we talk about pooling, the underwriting model. So the Washington County's Risk Pool, we have an underwriting model where we cap your losses at $100,000 above your deductible. Meaning if you had a $1 million claim or a $5 million claim, from an underwriting standpoint, it's capped at $100,000. That's intended to stop the peaks and valleys. We don't want to have a 50% increase one year, and then a 20%, and then a 70%. We want to try to find a different slope to the graph is probably the best way to say it. And the only way that we can do that is from the underwriting standpoint. So any claim that is above the deductible is rated. We do not rate for any claims that are within the deductible that the counties are paying for themselves. But those that are above the deductible are capped at $100,000, and the data is used in our underwriting model for a 10-year period, 10-year window. So every year we add on, a year drops off. So if you have a large claim today, yes, it will be around on the experience modification factor ratings for the 10-year window, but then it will drop off. So when we talk about our finances, we have $112 million in current assets, but we have $103 million in liabilities. And a majority, well, almost all of it is claim reserves for claims and lawsuits that we currently have on hand. On the right-hand side of the graph is our net position, or what's assets minus liabilities. In 2021, we were at $26 million. At the end of 2025, we were at $8.9 million. So that's due to increased claim settlements, increased number of claims, the legislature opening the statute of limitations on sex abuse and molestation claims, or what we call SAM claims. Those are having a financial impact on the pool, and not just the pool, the insurance industry, as well as all pools. When we talk about reducing the gap, and what I want to point to here to give some context is in 2019, we had a $1 million self-insured retention. In 2021 and 22, that moved to $2 million, and that was due to the insurance companies with claims and lawsuits and settlements. They weren't willing to attach at the $1 million level anymore. They made us raise it to $2 million. And then 23 and 24, we had a $3 million SIR, and 25, I'm sorry. But in 2026, we were forced to take a $4 million SIR. So the green is our target funding model. And our target funding, from an actuarial standpoint, the bottom of it is a 1 in 100 year event. The top of the green is the 1 or 2 in 100 year events occurring in the same year. So on the right now we're sitting at roughly $9 million at our net position. The target funding model based on our actuarial underwriting guidelines is $129 to $256 million. We are very, very short of that. But that's not to say that we're broke or that we're in financial distress, because these claims and lawsuits take a long time to run off. And we have money, we have investment income coming in, as well as assessments. The board, with the most recent rate increase this last year, put it $15.4 million directly injected into the fund balance to try and bridge that gap. Again, not an insurance company, so we do not report to the Office of Insurance Commissioner. We do report to the Office of Risk Management, Department of Enterprise Services with the state. We do have solvency tests that we are compared to. We failed both of those tests. I've been in contact with the state, but that's not a unique story in the pooling world with what's going on and what we're seeing. But what I want to talk about as far as where's the money go? So our liability this year, this is solely for liability insurance. Our assessments were $73.3 million. 35.5 of that is in retained losses. And the retained losses is when I talk about the dollar amounts above a member county's deductible. Our counties have deductibles that range from $10,000 to $500,000 per occurrence, depending on the county. County chooses their own deductible. From the deductible, that gap between the deductible and the $4 million SIR, that is the retained losses. That is shared pool money from all of our member counties that are paying those claims. $15.4 million, as I said, went directly to our fund balance for capital funding. $17 million went to insurance premiums. Now, this slide, please understand that we didn't make these payments until January and February of 2026, so that was a guesstimate estimate on the $17 million. And then our operating budget, as far as the pool itself, to operate the pool, has a budget of $5.4 million. When we talk about Franklin County's liability assessment, what I want to give reference to is it's based off of worker hours. So counties can control their assessment based off of the worker hours, the deductible size, and the modification factor. So Franklin County has a $25,000 deductible. Last year, four completed quarters, reported 539,589 worker hours to L&I. The base rate, which is the rate increase that is set per worker hour by the board of directors, and then the modification factor. The modification factor, 1.00 is neutral. If that number was less than 1.0, then there's actually a discount to the county for positive claims experience. If it is above 1.00, it is a premium. So Franklin County is paying a 20.7% increase or premium above neutral based off of claim history. The deductible factor of 0.955 is just how much of a discount. So there's a 4.5% discount because the county takes on the first $25,000 of the loss, which comes to our total assessment of the $1.9 million for the liability insurance. Please also understand that when our actuaries do these calculations, they take this out to like the 10th or 12th decimal point. So if you were to sit down and do the math, it might not come out exact because it's going to be due to rounding. Property is our other big program. We collected $8.7 million in property assessments. 5.4 went to insurance companies. The pool has a $100,000 self-insured retention, so our actuaries told us we need to collect $1 million and hold on to it for retained losses. We apply $150,000 of our budget towards the administrative costs, and then this year we actually had a positive property renewal, meaning that we got a reduction in rates from the insurers. The board decided not to take advantage of that reduction and keep the assessment flat as it was for 24-25. And the reason for that is we didn't want to take a 15% decrease this year and then have a bad catastrophe, tornado season, hail season, you name it. Because in the property market, if something happens on the East Coast or anywhere in the U.S., we all pay for it in one way or another. So instead of taking advantage of the decrease, we added $1.9 million additional to our fund balance. But then next year or in 2026, if we have a bad catastrophe season, we're not looking at a massive increase. So again, we want the stability. We don't want the ups and downs. When we talk about the property assessment for Franklin County, it's a two-part equation. One part is AOP, which is all other perils. That's your fire, your water, wind damage, so on. And then there's a catastrophe component to it as well. All of it is based off of the total insured value. So Franklin County has $189 million in assets that are listed in our system. We have a base rate of 11.5 cents per $100 in insured value. You have a $5,000 deductible, which gives a deductible factor of a 0.981. So your $213,880 is the cost for your property insurance for all other perils. What we do to figure out the catastrophe portion of it is we do a 60-40 split. 60% of the assessments go towards all other peril, 40% for catastrophe, and our actuaries do a catastrophe rate, basically looking at all of the counties individually. Are you in a floodplain? Are you susceptible to earthquakes? Whatever the catastrophe. Things are pretty safe in Eastern Washington, right? Earthquakes are probably not very likely. Wildfires do happen, yes. But you're being rated at a 1%. It's actually like 1.04, and again, goes down the line to get to the $39,000 for the catastrophe premium, which comes to the total of $252,000. The reason I wanted to go through these, and there's a couple of other coverages that we'll briefly touch on, is so that you can see how the calculations are done, where the money goes, how it's determined, so that as you assess what's best for Franklin County, should you choose to withdraw from the pool, that you can compare apples to apples, whether it's the other pool, whether it's the insurance industry. And we'll leave an open invitation that I'm an email or a phone call away for any conversations that you want to have, because there's a lot of information to unpack here, and I know that we're pressed for time, but I want to make sure that you have all of the information, because knowledge is power. On the cyber assessment, it's based off of operating budget. So your operating budget of $51.5 million, 75% of the cyber assessment, meaning what the insurance companies are charging to us, because there is no deductible on the cyber coverage, and it's a pass-through coverage, meaning if you had a cyber incident, the pool doesn't handle those claims. We handle property and liability. We pass it through to the insurer. But 75% is equally allocated to all of our member counties, and then 25% is based off of your portion, your operating budget's portion of the totality of the operating budgets for all 24 counties. And that's how we get to the $25,584 for your assessment. on the crime coverage based off of employee counts. So the total cost for the group for 24 counties, the second to last column is $45,745 is what the crime coverage costs. A $2 million limit. Counties have a $25,000 deductible. That's in the center per employee rate. So you have 293 full-time employees that were reported to the pool at a rate of $3.81 per, which comes out to the $1,116 for crime coverage. And then terrorism, there's no deductible. The total cost is $50,426, and that's just divided evenly between 23 counties because we have one county that purchased their own terrorism coverage, so they're not within the group coverage. So it's just split 23 ways. 4 claims, and I do apologize, I don't remember where we started for time-wise. I want to make sure that I'm not going too long. Perfect. Claims. We adjust claims and manage defense counsel. Again, everything is based off of the memorandum of liability coverage. We do report to and work with the insurers on large losses. Our member counties do not have to do any of that. That is our responsibility at the pool. We have the electronic claims reporting system and generate loss runs. And then again, we coordinate it with the county design claims administrator for the adjudication of claims to whatever resolution that may be. Claim ownership, once a claim is tendered to the pool owns the claim and the pool has the authority to settle the claim. But again, the goal is to work with our member counties to come up with an amicable resolution for a claim that everybody is either happy with or can live with. And then settlement authority, the board has granted me settlement authority of up to $100,000 above the member county's deductible. So that ranges depending on the county that we're dealing with. Above that, it goes to the executive committee for settlement authority up to the full $20 million that is in coverage. Our reinsurance is follow the fortunes, meaning that they see our coverage document and they are insuring our coverage document. So if we make a decision that something is covered, then we're basically renting their capital by paying premiums that they cover what we cover, at least what we cover. And when we talk about the reinsurance goes from as we sit here today, from the $4 million self-insured retention to $10 million. Above $10 to $20 million is excess insurance, so it's not a follow the fortunes. We're actually buying insurance from an insurance company, but it's our broker's job to make sure that the coverages are adequate and cover what all of the underlying coverages the reinsurers cover, as well as our memorandum of liability coverage, with the intent of not having a gap in coverage. Big thing for us is member services with training and education. We do a lot of trainings throughout the year. Web-based, in-person. We coordinate with our member services team, does an awesome job with other pools, because if it's something that may be good for member counties, it may also be good for cities. And we're trying to, economies of scale, try to do get the most bang for our buck when it comes to training and education. We do offer scholarships. We have a risk reduction program that is intended for unbudgeted things. It's up to $5,000 per county per year. And it's for small things that come up that just may not be in the budget, but it's something that may reduce risk and or reduce the likelihood of a claim. The cybersecurity awareness reimbursement program, like Know Before or other phishing email scams, because cyber threats are real and we have them all day, every day. Lexipol, if Franklin County was a member of Lexipol for law enforcement corrections, we do an 80-80-80 reimbursement, meaning if you implement 80% of the policies and get a score of 80 or higher throughout the year for the agency on the daily training bulletin questions, then we reimburse 80% of the subscription fees. And again, work with the county risk manager. From a risk management standpoint, we're pool-wide risk management, training and development. We do site visits every year, so at least once a year, our risk folks will come out and meet with Mr. Briggs and talk about risk management, talk about claims, looking at the claims data to see is there something that any one of our member counties has a need for that we can help provide. The goal is to stop claims. We have claims on the books. We're trying to resolve those claims, and as we resolve them, the goal is to not replace them with other claims. Again, online, this somehow came out of order. With data analytics, GL technology was a large investment from the board, the most recent investment of up to $25,000 per member county for inmate health monitoring, whether it was a wearable like an Apple Watch or a mounted in-cell technology. Again, we can't monitor all of our folks that are in custody, but we have a duty to care for them and make sure that they're safe. So we're trying to use technology to help assist us with that. We see the benefits from it from a risk management standpoint and claim standpoint, and we have had success stories. We have had people, in fact, Chelan County had a guy that I will say that was lucky he got arrested that day. I don't know what he was arrested for, nor does it matter, but he was in his cell. They had the in-cell monitoring. He collapsed. They got him out of the facility. They got him to the hospital. He was life flighted to Seattle. He had an undiagnosed brain tumor that he didn't know about, and the surgeon said he probably would have died if he was at home. But because he happened to collapse in our facility, the technology saved his life. So, there's unintended benefits from it. Again, then when we talk about Franklin County, this is just a snapshot of over the last couple of years. I would encourage the county to take advantage of the training. 12 attendees, 23 attendees, and I get it. Budgets are tight, time is tight, but training and risk management is the key from the pool standpoint of not having claims. The pre-defense review program, we've done a few of them over the years for Franklin County. Some counties use it more than others. When I started with the pool, that was a line item in our budget of $150,000. This last budget cycle, it was increased to $675,000. And the pre-defense review program is if an incident arises that may result in a claim, it goes through the prosecuting attorney's office because we may involve outside legal counsel to help out. A lot of those are employment-related pre-defense reviews, and the pool pays the cost 100%. There is no cost to the member county unless it turns into a claim while the pre-defense review is open. And then at that point, we work it out with our member counties of when it starts to become a claim and let's start the deductible. Cybersecurity awareness, there was a reimbursement for 23, 24, 24, 25. The 25 stub year, that was a 3-month window to get us onto common timing because we were a 10-1 to 9/30 fiscal year, and now we're a 1/1. So all of our insurers, all but one, agreed to a 15-month policy instead of a standard 12-month. But from an auditing standpoint with the state auditor, we had to consider that its own separate fiscal year, so we called it just the stub year. The bottom of the totals as far as the risk reduction that was used, again, I encourage that to be used every year. And scholarships, we can't pay for everything, but we try to find a way to yes. That is our member services and risk management goal, is that if there's an issue that may help stop claims, I want to find a way to yes, to find a way to afford it, to support our member counties. There is a QR code in the for other member programs because I couldn't encompass everything with this today. So with that, and again, I sped through it with the purpose of being able to get through it, but also provide you as Franklin County Board of Commissioners to have as much information as possible about the insurance that you're purchasing, where the money goes, how we get to that dollar amount that is collected for assessments, so that as you make your decision coming up on what you choose to do, that you're armed with the knowledge of it. And again, I am an email or a phone call away if there's ever any questions. But with that, I know my timer just rung. So if you have any questions, I'm open to it.
Questions?
Would you forward us this slide deck?
Already have.
Thank you.
Could I add something, Chair, to this? I would just echo everything that Chuck has said today. Working with him has been a pleasure. As he mentioned, I wear a lot of hats, and so it's essential for me to do my job to have an entity like the risk pool to work alongside me. Their employees are top-notch. They're very responsive. And my experience with regular insurance companies has been very poor. I think the first thing that most insurance companies do when you submit a claim is figure out how, to say that the policy doesn't apply to you. That it's the exact opposite with the risk pool because it's created by counties for counties. And so they're looking at it from a standpoint of how do we make this claim fit within our policy, and that is just so refreshing to deal with an organization like that. And it really augments our abilities as a prosecutor's office, because when these claims come in, we need someone almost immediately, whether it's a pre-defense review or actual litigation, we need someone who specializes in the field where the claim is arising. And we get top-notch attorneys on every single claim, whether it be a pre-defense review or actual litigation, that works alongside us. And that really helps us make the right decision, I would say, in all these cases. And if there's ever questions about why we made a decision, you can always come talk to me. And I know the outside counsel as well is more than happy to work with the board to help them understand why we make the decisions that I guess the board ultimately makes the decision, but why we are sort of steering you in that direction. I just want to talk about scholarships and Lexipol just briefly. Now that the sheriff's office and corrections have split, we've seen a tremendous uptick in our corrections office utilizing scholarships. I think the vast majority of those numbers are coming from corrections, as well as the risk reduction grants. So it's just great to see our corrections, our new corrections department utilizing the resources that the risk pool provides. So thank you, Chuck, for coming down and speaking with us.
Absolutely. And one last comment. So the little booklets that I had given to Mr. Briggs to pass out, those are just for education. When we meet with our insurers, and basically we're marketing to them as part of my job, for securing quotes for the following year along with our broker. That is just a marketing booklet of a snapshot that we give to them so that they can take it away for it. So as they go back to their offices and they get our submission, they have something in their hands that they can refer back to. So I wanted to just provide that, because that is something that from a marketing standpoint that the pool provides to the insurers, along with the slide deck about basically Franklin County's assessment, how it's derived. So with that, I greatly appreciate your time.
I had a question.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the relationship that Council Briggs and the pool has. Mr. Boyd, I think that that my question to you and the pool has always been, when's the last time that the pool actually tried a case in court? Or have you? And then second of all, has there ever been any discussion about that? Because what I see on the outside looking in is it's nice that we can get a scholarship, but our rates went up $675,000. So kind of my question would be, doesn't it make prudent sense to, if you have a case that you think you can win, instead of letting a precedent be established so that we become a target or a mark for other people to come and ask for claims, that we fight that? And I believe before when I asked you, we just don't fight them.
Well, no, and we do. In fact, the last case that we took to trial was an employment case from Benton County. And that was tried just a few months ago, before the end of the year. And we didn't see eye to eye on valuation. Now, you'll recall Sheriff Hatcher was the first and only successfully recalled sheriff in the state of Washington. 6 employees filed a lawsuit. They, as I recall it, they didn't come below $19 million. $20 million, don't quote me on that, but it was in the teens to the low 20s of what they were demanding before trial. At one point during the case, because there was a attorney fee shifting component, we had made an offer of judgment, I believe, for $4.5 million, which they rejected. We got that fee shifting claim dismissed on motion practice. They still wanted the same money. We offered them $1.5 million, inclusive of everybody, open through trial. They laughed and said, we have more in cost than that. The verdict came back at $1.39 million inclusive. So the takeaway there is, we're not afraid to try a case. I'm afraid to try the wrong case.
So
it's the right
real
case.
quick on that. So it was a pretty incredible circumstance. I think the history of Washington State, the first sheriff that's ever been recalled,
Absolutely.
if I'm not mistaken. Prior to that, when's the last case that you tried to
that comes to mind prior to that? We had a law enforcement case. It was tried in federal court. One of our chief civil DPAs tried a civil rights case, excessive force case. within the year before, prior to that, we don't try a lot of cases. That is absolutely the truth. We resolve 98% of the cases, if not 99. We do not try a lot of cases. They're expensive, and you don't know what you're going to get. We did get a defense verdict on that case. Prior to that, we had an auto accident case, which I believe was a Benton County case, and it went sideways on us. We thought that the case was worth $250,000, $300,000, if I remember correctly, because before I was promoted, I was actually my claim when I was an adjuster. When we talk about that things can go sideways at trial or in litigation, we had an expert that was our expert that made a diagnosis from the stand, and it turned out to be a $2 million verdict against us, adverse to us. She should have never made that. It wasn't. That was just. But that's the breaks. That is the scary aspect of trial. Is somebody says the wrong thing, a juror doesn't like somebody. You just don't know, and it is. I would argue sometimes that the scariest 3 words in the English language are trial by jury, because you don't know what you're going to get, and there are no guarantees, and there's no tort caps. There's no protections that we have with joint and several liability and no tort caps in the state of Washington. Is a very, very tough venue, and that's what stops a lot of litigation from us going to a jury trial versus, why we resolve cases and settle versus run the risk. Because we've seen these verdicts that just, they're headlines, and in some cases, monopoly money. So
that, I just was asking because the conversation, I just was wondering, because then
absolutely,
that financial burden you're talking about then just gets shifted to us.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, it gets shifted to taxpayers. Absolutely. And we do what we can. And on some of those cases where it's, we're trying to call balls and strikes as we're playing the game, we'll do mock juries or do focus groups. And the ones that we've done on high exposure cases have not come back in our favor. So that's just, although that is only a data point, the jury is the trier of fact is the end all say all. But it's a scary environment when we actually decide to try a case. So we want to make sure that we're trying the right one.
And I would add, Chuck, a big part of that process is sort of this back and forth dialogue with our expert attorneys that we're utilizing. And so those attorneys will put sort of a range of value on those cases. And if that range of value that they're placing on a case overlaps with a settlement offer from the defense, then, that's the time typically to settle. You're within the same zone, and, you're running the risk of having a much higher verdict, which is bad for the entire pool.
Absolutely, because our reinsurers, when they look at our loss runs, because that's what matters, is they're looking at what our open exposures are and what our reserves. So if we can put a final number on that, on what that claim cost us, it helps everybody when it comes to our reinsurance and our insurance renewals. So I know that I'm way over time. Again, I appreciate the flexibility with that. Oh, yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Boyd, you asked us to contact you, but through the booklet and the information I've got, I don't have a contact number. Do you have a card?
I believe I do, and if not, I will make sure that Mr. Briggs has it.
Yes.
And by all means, again, phone call, email, and let's have a conversation.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Executive session.
Yeah, so now it's time for the executive session. I'll call it out just so the minutes are clear. 4230-110, 1I, 20 minutes under litigation. Present would be myself, the board, the clerk of the board, and Ms. Lloyd.
And Mr. Dansel.
Oh, sorry, yes, and our county administrator, sorry.
All right, so at this point, we'll go into executive session for approximately 20 minutes.
Yeah, Rod, when they come out with public comment, address us when she was speaking to us, nobody else in the room.
Okay, thank you.
Just me.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've come out of executive session with no decisions being made. We'll go back to the agenda on Resolution C, 2026-124, amended settlement and release agreement regarding juvenile services, presented by Jeff Briggs, Chief Civil Deputy Prosecuting Attorney.
And good morning, Board, again. So this proposal, which has already been signed by Benton County, what it will do is it will extend the current 2023 Memorandum of Understanding and the 2024 Memorandum of Understanding through the end of May. What these two agreements do, the 2023 agreement is for funding of the Joint Juvenile Justice Center. The 2024 agreement is the agreement that transferred detention services to Benton County, where they provide services for both counties. And so we've agreed to extend that through the end of this month, or sorry, May. And what we'll need to do between now and then is, I mean, the next item on the agenda, which deals with funding of our own court and probation. And along with that, we will need an agreement to actually terminate the 2024 agreement with the judges as well. And so the parties are agreeing to work in good faith towards that. And the reason for that is the 2024 Memorandum of Understanding has an attached agreement where the judges transferred authority for administration of detention services for both counties to Benton County. And that can only be undone by a mutual agreement of all the parties and a modification of the local judicial administrative rule. And so my proposal, or what I'd ask the court to do, is make a motion authorizing approval of this of the resolution and directing Mr. Administrator Danzel to sign that agreement, because I believe he's in the signature line.
I concur.
Thank you. So at this point, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move for the approval of Resolution 2026-124, Amendment Settlement and Release Agreement regarding juvenile services, with our Administrator, Mr. Danzel, having the signature authority on the agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The resolution passes unanimously. Moving on to Resolution 2026-125, approval of budget transfer for Franklin County Juvenile Court Operations, presented by Jeff Briggs, Chief Civil Deputy Prosecuting Attorney.
And although I'm listed as the presenter on the agenda, I would welcome the members of the court to come forward if they want to address the board as well. But what this proposal is for, it's a resolution to transfer funding into this new budget that will enable the court to stand up probation and court services in a new division to be established by local administrative court rule that will operate solely within Franklin County. I think the remaining question we have is not whether or not we should transfer money. It's really, at this point, what the amount should be.
Yes. We need clarity.
And
Yes.
so, go ahead. Yeah.
I would ask Rosa Gomez to approach. Doesn't appear that we're going to have any others. So, Rosa, if you could provide an analysis of what the judges provided and what the prorated amount should be for the remainder of the year, given that we just agreed to extend the agreement.
Thank you. For sure. So we will need some clarification on the cost, the overall cost provided. It seems to me, based on the attachments that they provided, that we are budgeting for a full year cost, or the transfer is based on a full year cost, but we are not paying for a full year. So that amount should be prorated. For sure. Yeah. The prorated amount for the personnel cost would be $476,431. This is for 7 months. And we would need, again, further clarification on the remaining of the expenses, because it seems to me that this is for a full year instead of a prorated amount. So at this point, we would need clarification on additional expenses and the budget request. Yes.
And Rosa, just for process, if the number it wasn't the exact right number, the county has the process by which they can do a budget amendment or transfer. So this would not preclude. There's funding available right now to get that started, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you very much.
I'm just kind of curious how that number was arrived at. So looking at their proposal, it looks like it's for 1.129 million. The equation that I was using was I subtracted, it looks like there's 35,000 in fixed cost, so I subtracted that. And I agree, it does look like the funding was for an entire year, and I'm basing that on the employee column. It said that it's for a 12-month period. And so I get, so the fraction that I'm getting, if we're funding through June, would be 7/12 of the requested fund, but the fixed cost would remain fixed. So I subtracted the 35,000 from the 1.129 million and multiplied the remainder, or the difference, I guess, by 7/12. I arrived at 638,734, but that's before adding the 35,000 back in. So I'm wondering why it's 476,000.
That's just the personnel portion.
Okay.
That's just the personnel portion.
Taking salaries, you're not taking any of the benefits?
Everything is included.
Everything's included? Okay, because I think 7/12 out of that, I don't know what the math is, I don't have my computer, but the salaries plus benefits for 1 year was $807,000. And so you're saying your math is 400,000 for 7 months?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. I don't know how that works.
And I can provide my spreadsheet as well.
All right. And as far as clarification for, what the court was wanting is, absolutely, we understand that our budget was for a 12-month period. That's what we proposed, so it should be prorated accordingly. A lot of these things are in flux, so we don't know exact costs, but I would propose that the proration occur with respect to the contracts and the local responsibilities that we have here. In fact, like we put down here, startup costs of $35,000 because we didn't know if we were going to have to buy things, and I don't think we are going to have to buy things now. I think we can move things from the center that we have now. So everything's in flux. So I think a fair, appropriate thing would be is if we're going to do 7 months, and we know now it's going to be 7 months, that we do the same type of math with respect to the subtotal that we have with respect to our contracts and stuff. And I even said before when we were before you that some of the issues with respect to funding from the school district is still in flux, so we don't know a lot of this stuff. So I think it's fair to do a proration for the 7 months.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
May I? Is it okay if I
Yes,
ask? Okay.
absolutely.
So on when you had submitted your original budget for the 7 months, it was actually at.
We submit for 1 year.
It was for 1 year.
We were here, I think, in February, so
Right.
It wasn't like we were trying to
Nope.
think something over or anything. It was for a 1 year budget.
Not at all. No.
Okay.
My question was grant funding. I can't imagine that grants are only going to apply to Benton County people. So what grant funding do you bring with you to Franklin County?
So, Mr. Danzel, we have been in contact, and by we, I mean our court administrator has been in contact with the state. And as I understand, they are working through that process of dividing up the grants for each county. I don't know specifics, but I can tell you that there have been discussions about that this was on the horizon, and we had to figure out stuff like that. And now that we know that there's a date that's firm, that I think that will help with the discussions of unwinding and untangling contracts.
Would it be all right if I work with Ms. Rung when that comes in, or yourself or someone, so that we can adjust the budget? And
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Any other questions I can answer?
I'm not sure. I'm just looking at the attachment A and B that you guys provided.
Sure.
Within that, on attachment B, functional family therapy and juvenile drug court, on the functional family therapy, it says just short of $33,000, and it says per participant. I'm assuming if that's 10 participants, that's $333,000. That seems to be a...
No. I think it's the total was $33,000, but it's paid per participant, so we may have had 10 participants at $33,000. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's very helpful.
Sorry if that was unclear, but that would be ridiculous.
That's why I was hoping to
Okay.
get clarification, so that's very helpful to have that clear.
Sure, so that's going to be paid as we have a participant. I don't know what the number is. It probably depends on how many sessions and whatnot, but that was a total thing of what we spent last year. That's where we got these numbers from, is what we spent last year.
So that would be my assumption, is based on previous participation. I had a question similar to Mr. Danzel on the grant funding. See if I can remember, and thought I had myself written a note, but another question that I had, slightly related but a little bit different. One of the public comments earlier was indicated that the staff had been given an email that indicated that there was potentially 7 layoffs coming. I wasn't aware of that. Is that something that could be provided to us so that we could have a context and an understanding? Looking at this,
Sure.
It appears that the request is for 7 FTEs and with a layoff of 12, just trying to have a more clear picture of what all that means.
I have no problem providing that information to you. We were directed to give you a bare budget, and if you wanted to have us have more employees, we would happily have more employees, and we'd happily serve more community members. But we tried to act within your direction and within your timeframes, and I appreciate our staff and our staff members' comments today, the spouse of one of our staffs, because it has been, I'll just share with you, it's been very difficult for them because we had this deadline that was next week, and it turned, we're not going to do that, which I'm grateful for, because I think this new deadline will give us a time to organizationally make changes. It's still going to be tight, but I think it's much more doable and workable. And but yeah, it's been very frustrating and not knowing what's been happening. So I just want to thank our staff who is here today for their comments too, so you know what's going on. But I can get that. It's from I will see about getting you that.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you that it's been frustrating. Bi-county employees being given notice that they will potentially be laid off, and being one of the 2 counties, not knowing that communication was given in that way, and so that is certainly some of that. Go ahead, Mr. Chairman. I got a couple questions I'm trying to formulate.
Yeah. Any questions? Yes, Mr. Danzel.
The other, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Judge Sam. Your Honor. I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
Judge Sam is fine.
Okay, very
Thank
good.
you.
functional family therapy. How many active participants are currently enrolled in FFT program? And of those participants, is there a breakdown of residency between Benton and Franklin? And then I think maybe I think you've given us some of that, but I think maybe the most important is, what is the per participant cost used to calculate the budget request for that program?
So I can share with you that at the end of a budget session last year, we did give you those participant numbers. So I cannot share with you today's numbers because I don't have those. What was your other question about how because it's all contracted, I believe, so.
What is the per participant cost used to calculate the budget request for the FFT program?
So the FFT,
Functional family therapy.
we have an in-house person, and we also have some that we have service providers that are contract providers. The contract providers, I can tell you, is the range is between $800 and $900 per session. There's 4 sessions for each family. So we have not all of them get paid exactly the same depending on where they're at on their contracts. I do have the stats. I don't have them readily available, but we have broke it down. Oh, you do? Okay.
I think first of all, good morning.
Good morning.
Judge Burrows is speaking. With respect to this matter, I believe, Commissioner Baumann, what you're asking for and looking for is a breakdown on what's required and what's not required. I think you received that in an email. If you haven't, I have it here with you. You also asked that question with respect to the breakdown on the FFTs, functional family therapy. I believe juvenile staff with presiding Judge Stam provided you with that numbers. Currently, as of June 30th of 2025, there are 28 participants in that function, or youth in that program. For Franklin County, 9, for a total of 37 that was in there. And I'm happy to give you my notes if you would like it. I can give this to you right now, Mr. Danzel. There you go. That's the same report that was provided at the budget meeting that Commissioner Baumann asked about those numbers. And I think our administrator provided that in an email to you folks. And I think it may have been supplementally provided to you again. But that's numbers as of that was provided with respect to that. And as Judge Stam indicates, those numbers fluctuate pretty regularly. The last thing I want to say about your grant questions, Commissioner Baumann, is that most grants are partial. They're not fully funding particular non-mandated programs, and some that are mandated. So it's a proportionate. Well, maybe 1/3 of it is for both counties, but both counties have to bring up the other 2/3. So some of those grants won't be won't fully fund the programs that we currently have at that level. And I think the staff at Juvenile, with Judge Stam's help, they'll have to make a determination which one would apply for Franklin and Benton, because they've got to unparcel them because they're a bi-county grant. And it appears that the staff has been able to work with the grant overseers to try to see if we can get some funding through for both counties. I hope that's helped.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate that. I just was kind of looking at our demographic makeup, which also I think will entitle us to other grant opportunities because of our Hispanic majority population, which Benton County does not have.
Sure.
And so I don't know, I'll work with you all.
Please do, because we have included that in our grant proposals.
Yeah.
I mean, our grant proposals include both counties' demographics, right?
Right.
So, but if there's anything else out there, of course, we're not going to say no. Of course, we'll look into it.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. That was really helpful, Judge Burrows. Wondered if you can, I don't know, there's quite a few of these grants that are fully funded, no additional requirements, it appears, from either Benton or Franklin County, that are unused to the level, shooting from the hip, 400 plus, I haven't added it up, 400 plus thousand. Can you speak to the grants that appear to be 100% grant but are unused?
Where are you getting that from? I don't know where you're getting
So
that from.
this is the
Yeah.
part
down
of
here.
attachment B.
Yep.
So there's quite a number of those down through there. I was just trying to put them.
So you're referring to like lines 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12?
Yeah, line 5 also. Just, I don't know what any of those are, and similar to Administrator Danzel's question, but my question would be more narrow is there some of these grants that could potentially offset some of the expenses that was in the $1.1 million request? Is there some of that potentially could be offset by some of these grants?
So I guess the answer to the question is similar to Judge Burrows, is that yes, the grant money is used to offset, but it can't cover 100% of these programs, so there'll still be some county contribution to it. With respect to the line items, I don't think it says that it's not being used. I think it says it is being used, but there's no local contribution, which would mean that it is paying for the entire program. So that is those programs, chemical dependency, mental health alternative, we get money for that. That is fully funding. Am I correct in that? I mean, these are all good questions, and we will, as we unwind, and that's what we're going to be doing basically, is unwinding and untangling the joint grants that we have for both counties and making sure that each county gets their share. We can report back to you the details if that's what you would like to do. It sounds like that you do.
If I may, what I provided is that if you look at the breakdown, to your question, Commissioner Baumann, if you look at like the BECA fund under RCW 28A 225030, there is grant funding of about $52,300, which is also utilized. You look at the line item on guardian ad litem's mandate under Title 13 and Title 2612-175. There's about 38 grand for grant funding. And then finally, if you look at guardian ad litem, it's line 20. I think I gave you. If you look on the first page, Mr. Danzel, it's number 20. It says that a grant funding of about $100,600, which covers a mandatory guardian ad litem. Those mandatory requirements by the state law where a grant is tied to, that's where Judge Stam's talking about. We have to unwind. Portions of that will offset your budget. It will, if we can get them to agree to unwind it and say, you get a portion to Franklin County and a portion to Benton County. It appears the juvenile staff has reached out. So the short version, Commissioner Baumann, yes, it will. It will reduce your budget. Yeah.
I thank you so much, Judge Burrows. The reason I ask is the accountants and the auditor staff ask because we have to add a revenue line.
Oh, I get it.
That's really literally it. So I apprate all the background information, but that's kind of where.
That's helpful of why it's important.
Yes.
So we know that. And likewise, when the budget is addressed, like we also want to know I think part of the confusion is the money's going to different places that we're not aware of, and it's not line itemed out for the employees. So that's something that just some information about that too, that would help us so we know what our parameters are. So. Okay. All right.
So I was able to do this really fast. I'm sure I made a slight error, but line item 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 18 are all ones that it gives a total grant value, and it doesn't assign it to Benton or Franklin County, but you indicated that was money that is in fact used, that equates to over 900,000 and times 936? I'm behind. So 936. So 936, 889. So if you take that number, based on the youth, I think it's, if I remember right, it's 34.95%. So if you take that times 34.95%, so that equates to $315,000 that is not attributed to Franklin County on this. And so that's part of my reason of where those dollars are going, and that's a significant number that could potentially offset some of the value that
So
you've
those are
asked.
services that we're providing to our community now, right? So we put that in there so that you understand that these are services that by grant funding are being provided, right? Because there's no local contribution to those services. So we want those services to stay. So what our budget is stuff that are not being covered by these grants, and that's the Franklin County share. That's what we're asking for. So we're trying to keep the budget, we're trying to do services that we have in place right now. And the budget request is to try to keep everything that we're currently doing in Benton, to try to keep it in Franklin. We don't know if that's going to be possible, but it won't. I'm trying to make the point that I'm not sure it will really offset the budget because we haven't included it. We're only asked for stuff that we ask for every year to begin with. Am I making myself clear?
I definitely appreciate that. I'm just trying to understand, stuff like I was not aware that we had a graffiti abatement program within Franklin County, or that served in Franklin County. Wasn't aware of that. I'm aware of some private organizations that do that stuff, in different fashions. But I guess having kind of a more of a line item type understanding of what this does. That's making sure that I understand this attachment B, mandated contractual RCW or Washington Administrative Code, and then down through there. So these ones we've been talking about are not mandated, but they are things that we have grant funding for that the court appreciates and hopes to continue.
Right, we hope to continue it.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. It's going to be a challenge to start up a whole new department. We're up for the challenge, but we're going to do the best we can, and we'll keep you advised of how it goes.
That's kind of what.
That's very, very helpful to have an understanding of that.
If I could add something, one thing you're not going to get from looking at numbers on sheets of paper is the good in the community that these folks bring. And I've had the pleasure of working firsthand with juvenile probation counselors as a defense attorney, and it's really special when you see that connection when someone's, these children come from really difficult backgrounds, and to see them, make positive changes, it's worth so much in value to the community, because then we don't have to deal with them on the back end as an adult. You're not going to get through to everyone. That's unrealistic, but I think it's money well spent for Franklin County residents.
Mr.
Yes.
What I would recommend, Mr. Chairman, is passing what your staff, Rosa Gomez, suggested. And then I just want everybody in the world to know that we can amend or transfer funds with literally 1 day's notice. So if we are not passing muster, kind of like the judges themselves, this is the first time for us having it too. What I would recommend is that, like, when we know the information on the grants, that we have a back and forth, and I understand completely that I might not be the guy to be talking to. So if there's someone else at the county that the bench or anybody would like to speak to, I would make that available to you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
I think we might need a little bit more lead time for money going into the budget. I think that's what triggers the hearing. If it's additional money that's needed that we transfer from another line item into that budget, it's different. But just looking at 3640-100, I think for supplemental appropriations, it's probably best to actually have a hearing on that. But that's all I would add to that.
So request for clarification. So if you take the 1.13 million that was requested, subtract the 35,000 out of it, divided by 12 times 7 is less than the 700,000 that we already allocated. is,
640 or there.
Yeah.
What is it? Do you have it? Oh.
it's, yes, it's very close to the number that we're discussing. So the resolution that's proposed in front of us today, do we need to insert a different number in there, amending our previous 700,000 allocation, or how do we do that?
I believe this is the number, but the other thing, again, we can transfer funds when we need to. But the other, I would ask Rosa what your, best practices and standards might be.
Receiving the clarification, we can definitely plug in the new number if need be.
Judge Burrows, did you want to share something?
I'm sorry. As you all know, I'm probably been speaking to this board about budget since 2019. What we would need is a specific department number creating a Franklin County Juvenile Department, either number, a line item number. Under that big heading, you'll have subheadings with respect, and I'm if I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, that indicate each employee has their own line item. Each one of these asks that we've brought before you has to have a line item specifically, and it has to be detailed so we don't go afoul.
This one here?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
We would go afoul with the auditor, and that we don't want to do that. So hypothetically, if you started out at 100, just a number 100, that would be the Franklin County Juvenile Department. 101 would be the 1 through 7 would be the employees. 8 would be the Becca. 9 would be the 118 for the probation school liaison, and so forth. It's typically how it's done, and I'm not trying to step on anybody, auditor, or anybody, or the your payroll person or HR person, but generally that the board has to approve all those line items, and then once they're approved, you can fund them. That would be my recommendation. For today's purposes, I agree with Mr. Danzel. You can always amend your budget, but you got to give notice, opportunity to be heard, and have a meeting about it. And the board does it, the three of you, to approve it. And I think today you're just approving money to go somewhere. And the Superior Court would like to know what to use the money for, because we don't want to go afoul with the auditor to say we used some funds inappropriate or such. That would be the purpose of the line items. That would be our request. I think I'm not speaking for Judge Stan, but I think the way the budget process works, it would be more appropriate.
That's helpful. Thank you so much for that clarity. Some of the reason for my question in that way is the bill that we received, the invoice that we received from Benton County. I'd need some clarity from the staff on this, but
the bill, Commissioner?
the monthly bill that we currently pay.
P24. That's set forth in resolution.
That's all right. So I'm just.
That's the monthly for all of it.
Right.
Or the 2.9. 2.7 if you do it over 12 months.
Yeah. Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
from an accounting standpoint, we would also need, as Mr. Danzel said, clarification on the revenue stream as well, just to have a full picture of how it all.
Set up line items.
Correct, to set up the line items and everything else, yeah.
All right. Okay, any further questions?
Is time of the essence for today on this? We've already passed resolution 124, which essentially pushes it out for 2 additional months. So it would appear to me that time is not of the essence on this item.
It absolutely is. I mean, we've got to fund it. They have 2 months is a very short turnaround to stand up a department. We need to give them some foreseeability in terms of what funds they have to access to start hiring. Well, I don't know that we're necessarily hiring staff, and that's something we need to discuss more in terms of negotiations, which is a separate issue. But whether we're hiring new staff or transferring staff across the river, the judges need some foreseeability in terms of how much money they have to do these things.
Right.
If I may, Commissioner, we can't hire employees unless there's a line item that specifically says it's a probation officer at this pay, and then once you've approved that, then we can go out and you approve the position, the job description, the line item, and you approve what the HR person is giving you, then you can fund it. And then we can say, good, we got the money for this person, we can go hire him. That would, again, for clarification.
All right, thank you. All right, no further questions? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say it was a pleasure seeing Mr. Burrows in the courtroom this morning. Thank you for coming.
Pleasure to see you. Thank you.
Thank you. So resolution 2026-125, are we going to put that on at a later date?
I pass it today.
Pass it today.
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we pass resolution 2026-125, approval of budget transfer for the Franklin County Juvenile Court operations.
Second with discussion.
We have a motion with this, and a second with discussion. Mr. Baumann.
Do we need to immediately following this action rescind the action for the 700,000?
Mr. Chair.
Recognize her.
Oh, I'm
The
sorry.
other resolution,
I recognize
2026-111, that 700,000, it is to pay the 224,000 per month to have the current contract that we have with the Benton County. So that 700,000, it is to pay. It's already been allocated. So this money, it is for the judges to initiate a new department.
That's helpful. Thank you so much. No further questions, Mr. Chairman.
On
Yes.
clarification, that 700,000 was for January through March. Now we're passing April and May.
Correct. So we might need to allocate an extra money into that fund to pay Benton County with the interlocal agreement since we are
believe-
extending.
Yes.
So that helps me. So the 700,000 was essentially the first installment for the first 5 months, and this is for the final 7 months of the year, and then we're going to have 2 additional months that we'll have to balance out. And
No, that's
The 700,000 figure that you're talking or referencing is what we put aside to be able to pay while we were working things out for the April 1 deadline.
that's what I'm saying. For the first 5 months of the year, it's the first installment that will be required for the first 5 months. This is addressing the final 7 months of the year. So the
Yes.
700,000 is not enough, but it's the first
Correct.
installment for the first 5 months.
Yeah.
This is for the final 7
April's
months.
the 4th month. You threw me on that.
Yeah.
We have a motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second on resolution 2026-125. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes unanimously. Moving on to Commissioner Administrator updates. Administrator, Mr. Danzel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, Commissioners. I think it's morning. This has been a busy week of coordination with our elected officials and department heads as we prepare for tomorrow's events at the Rural Prosperity Summit. The office has been fully engaged in getting everything ready for those festivities tomorrow. We've been working closely with various department heads to ensure a successful event and to cover any other issues. I met with the commissioners individually this week to discuss the upcoming agenda and provide a briefing on the summit details. I met with Council Briggs multiple times throughout the week to stay aligned on our current legal and administrative priorities. I attended a meeting specifically to discuss juvenile services following the signing of the temporary agreement to extend until June 1st, which included Commissioner Alvarez from Benton County, Matt Rasmussen, Council Briggs, George Fearing, and myself, alongside with Judge Stam, Judge Burrows, Judge Brown, and Judge Ruff. Our conversation centered on the operational transition and the the things that you took action on today. Beyond that, it's been getting ready for the March 26th Rural Prosperity Summit. I'm going to keep my comments short because there's another executive session I'm going to ask for here in a little bit, so I'll keep my comments short. But for the rest of the week, just so you all know, I'll probably be working very, very hand in hand with USDA Rural Development Director Pearson and the entirety of the Federal Family Partnership Coalition that they have for this meeting that we have on tomorrow.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Baumann.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A lot of my meetings mirrored our administrators, multiple meetings at the HAPO Center, and work with Director Pearson in preparation for the summit that is going to be here at the HAPO Center tomorrow. Just really appreciate everybody's coordination and hard work on that. It has certainly been a lot of work on everybody's part. Meeting last week with our council administrator, the Superior Court bench, and some members of the Benton County administration. Benton Franklin Council of Governments board meeting. I was able to go to the bill signing for Bill 6066, named Perry's Bill, which is the designating accident risk zones. That happened in Yakima with the governor, with Colotus Mayor, Mr. Robitel, and just appreciate all of our legislators that worked hard on that, and that bill passed with one less than unanimous vote. I believe it was, I think it was 92-1, and so very thankful that we have that tool available to us. It'll take a little bit of time to go through the process to get enshrined in RCW, but thank you for everybody that worked so hard on that. And was able to spend the day yesterday with our Franklin County Emergency at our Franklin County Emergency Management Center, doing a exercise, a FEMA evaluated exercise on if there was complications out at the Columbia Generating Station. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that's my report.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Didier.
Yes, last week consisted of the law library, and I just got to say Chairman Sinclair does a great job keeping that meeting nice and short, and he does a great job getting through all the details. Board of Health meeting, Columbia Basin Sustainable Water Coalition meeting, agenda meeting with Mr. Danzel, and I really appreciate him going over the agenda. Had a meeting with Wes McCart this morning on our Planning and Economic Growth Department. Also would like to report that there are 3 U.S. states that have now introduced legislation designating COVID-19 mRNA injections as biologically weapons of mass destruction. And that would be Tennessee, Senate Bill 1949, Arizona House Bill 2974, and Minnesota House Bill 3219. Plus there's 5 other states that are possibly going to put the same legislation in front of their state legislators. Traffic on Glade Road is getting extremely busy with farm equipment, and again, I heed the words of people out there in my community that we need pullouts. They're cheap, economically able to be built by just putting gravel alongside of the roadway for farm equipment to get off the roadway to let cars go by. My family and I, we observe, we get cars behind us, we pull off, we let them go by, but not every farmer's doing that, and we need to get people pulling over. A lot of people talking to me about taxes, calling me very upset. I know that we have some residents that taxes went down a little bit, but farmers are hurting terribly out there right now. Fuel prices are through the roof because of the war. We have the tariffs that are raising our costs of parts that we put on our circles, equipment, and everybody is looking to try to just hang on and survive. Columbia River Caucus meeting is currently started at 9 o'clock, so I couldn't attend it. I sent them the meeting that it corresponded at the same time as this meeting, could not attend. That's the end of my report.
All right, thank you. So last week we did have the health department meeting. There were some concerns over the lineage fire, and I just want to say that our health board actually did a great job of of helping the community through that time. This morning had Visit Tri-Cities, and they are working on the Ironman competition again. That event is over, I think it's 114 events throughout the world for the Ironman competition, and we ranked #1 in the swim from the competitors, so that's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. Also saw that the passage of the rounding up of the pennies, which takes an effect June 2nd, so it only applies to cash sales. So if it's 1 or 2 cents, it rounds down. If it's 3, 4, or 5, it rounds, of course, up. And then I also just want to mention that with one of the largest cattle processing plants going on strike, and I'm just going to say it, you can expect beef prices to continue to rise. It's also causing a backlog of processing animals, which means there's not a market for yearling calves. I had someone call me and told me that they were told to keep their 300 head at home because there simply were not buyers for them. So a few months ago, we passed a approval for a meat packing plant or meat processor up in Connell. And I just want to say, 40 years ago, the major 5 packers only packaged, I think it was about 35% of the beef. And now they're up to 85 to 90% of all the packaging. So we need more local meat processors out there. Like I said, it's going to create, by them going on strike, the meat prices are going to continue to rise. So be thankful that we do have local processors here that can get your beef in and keep it more local and keep our food supply steady. So that's one of the drawbacks of having 5 companies controlling close to 90% of all your meat packing. It's not good. And so, yes, local is better. That concludes my report for this week.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I may add, on that Board of Health meeting, that lineage fire, since we're part of the Ben Franklin Health Department, we're named in that lawsuit. And when you affiliate with another county, whenever you're being sued, you are attached to it. So hopefully we don't see any repercussions from any of the lawsuit if there is a big settlement put out. Just wanted to add that.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Danzel, correspondence.
I have no correspondence at this time.
All right, we'll move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the room for public comment? If so, please come forward, state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Commissioners, Chairman Mullen. I appreciate your time. I was just thinking about how much I've been taking care of my mother-in-law since my father-in-law died, and her back failed because her spinal cord was being pinched in 2 places. And one thing my father-in-law, actually my sister-in-law, facilitated it and helped him, but they were able to go about their property taxes and get them reduced because they were long retired. My father-in-law was 94 when he passed away, and my mother-in-law is 86. And I was just thinking about our farmers. I was thinking about the people that lost their jobs in Connell. And it seems to me that our properties are being bought up by large groups. These are investors. That's raising the cost of farm ground. And just like you don't want a monopoly in the beef, we're getting a monopoly in our farm ground. And it's very troubling because the farm ground, it just doesn't pencil in to what the property taxes are. And when you see farmers that are hurting, I don't know if there's a way that we could pass an ordinance as a county, but do something to help them at least temporarily reduce their property taxes. I think that would help them, especially in this time of war. I don't know what the RCWs are in the state that would allow that, but I would love to see that explored, because our farmers our food source. It is national security. It is a state of emergency for our farmers, and it breaks my heart when I see a for sale sign. I see so many out there. And then I'd also like to say I'm the precinct officer for Precinct 100, which on the Highway 395 going north affects Foster Wells, it affects Vineyard, as well as Crestlock. Those are all in my precinct. And I'm looking at this legislation that was just passed. I don't see it's going to help at all. I really feel like if there's a way that we can reduce the speed at least with flashing light warning signs for vehicles to slow down as they're coming in before Crestlock, that would save a lot of time. I almost got hit the other day because the person turning in onto Vineyard and I was coming off, they didn't stop. And it's a four-way stop for those that are turning. And they don't stop, they just come. And I was sitting there before ready to go, and he nearly hit me. So, and I saw broken glass there the other day too, so another wreck. So that's really, as someone who lives out there and drives and enters onto the highway on all those places, I really feel like what's happened is not going to help. So I don't know if there's anything as commissioners you can do. I know it's a state highway, but appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning again, Commissioners. Again, I come before you regarding the constitutionality of what's happening in our state. I sent you a video this morning regarding the subject matter expert I'm working with from Collier, Florida, that created a constitutional county that by ordinance, and all of us went through COVID, if that was ever tried again, there was a $20,000 penalty by ordinance and a minimum of a year in jail. So you would empower your sheriffs to enforce. If we'd had that back when we were contesting this, if we'd had a First Amendment petition, I believe we would have been thoroughly united and thoroughly successful in Washington State. So please review that. Because what I'm looking at is that we have 28 to 32 counties that are favorable in terms of keeping our sheriffs elected, and the people of standing are actually the people in the home rule county of King County that can't elect their own sheriff. I've called all 40 counties, gentlemen. They are on board. They're ready to work forward in a united fashion to support the election of their sheriffs. The counties are also the others that have the standing that will eventually go to court. But when you go into court under constitutional grounds instead of case law, now you're standing firm. And that is exactly what's going to happen with King Ranch. I'm not surprised at all on the decision by the judge. It should, if they're smart, do a motion directly to district federal court on constitutional grounds. When you have people in our legislature that wear red pins and say, I'm proud to be a socialist, and disregard treasonously Amendments 7 through 14, this is the year to move. I am advocating, working with you and for you and with our sheriff's offices to come together and deputize a lawyer eventually. And I know the prosecuting attorney's office generally don't like this, but if you watch that video, gentlemen, you'll understand the power that counties have over the legislature, over their governors, and so forth. And I'm going to keep coming back to you because I'm getting traction outside of this county. It is the Constitution that will stand by us, and we need to stand on it. And I love coalition building, as I know Brian does. And I am also talking to people who actually can print these up for us. So thank you.
Yes.
Michelle, the link that you sent us, we can't pull up. So I don't know.
I'll send it again.
Okay, but I think it might also be, I don't know where it's coming from. But we have a lot of security apparatus on our computers.
Oh, that
so
makes
I
sense.
tried to click on it.
Okay.
But I can't get it to play.
We could do a workshop. That's what I want to do. I will work with somebody and see if I can get that link cleared for you. And I think you'll thoroughly enjoy it. And I look forward to being there tomorrow with our USDA folks, because they also are constitutional people that we can totally revamp the USDA to work for everyone. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. I just wanted to thank you for your time and say that I'm here to help. I'm not asking for funding. Before losing my son, I was actually paying a retired gentleman to teach young men how to do yard work and how to serve our seniors. And we would take these young men to do yard maintenance for seniors that can't afford to get the service done. I was paying that out of my pocket, and I'm offering my help in anything that I can do. I want to see our communities be just like it was when I was growing up. There's a lot of programs that are being funded that if we look at the numbers, are they really making a difference? We shouldn't have to put a number or fund programs that are not working if we can just be good humans and good neighbors to one another. And that's what I want for my community. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would also like to put on the record that after my meeting last week, before I forget, I started getting retaliated against from some, I don't know who it was, but they mentioned this meeting. I've asked for protections orders in front of the judges, and my protection orders were denied, even though I have proof of the things that have been done against me. But my abuser is being protected. So please, I ask to please protect survivors of domestic violence. What is happening is not okay. Thank you.
If I could add something, have you reached out to SARC at all? Okay.
Each time, the protection orders are always denied because we have a child in common, but that wasn't the case with him because of the attorney he has represented him.
Okay, because that's usually a place where we would direct a domestic violence victim to obtain services. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
All right, anyone else in the room for public comment? Is there anybody on the phone? Executive session, Mr. Danzel.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would ask for, my 1 year performance evaluation, so under RCW 42.30.110 and I would ask for the Board of Commissioners and myself.
We do have need for another one under litigation, 4230.110.1I, with information services and the usual players, so myself, the board, county administrator, the clerk of the board, and Ms. Lloyd. And that would be for approximately 15 minutes.
Okay. And yours was how long?
Mine will probably be about the same.
So 30 minutes?
It's totally different, but they're different RCW numbers.
So we would, I mean, we can leave for, under the RCW that Mr. Danzel or Administrator Danzel is referencing, there's no requirement that legal counsel be present. The board gets to decide who's present.
All right.
So there's really no need for us to be there.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would ask that we take a 5-minute break and then go into executive session for 30 minutes under those two RCWs as stated.
So we'll take a 5-minute break. We'll come back, do a 15-minute executive session with Mr. Danzel, followed by a 15-minute executive session with Mr. Briggs and legal counsel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've come out of executive session with no decisions being made.
You gotta get the door open though. Sorry.
We've come out of executive session with no decisions being made. We're going to go back into executive session for approximately 15 minutes under the RCW code that Mr. Briggs had stated earlier.
Yes, that's 4230-110-1I, potential litigation. We will want members of our information services team. We have our director, Bo Beckley, Michael Namchek, and Mark Vander Dickenberg with us, as well as our county administrator and everyone who's in the prior executive session. So,
Thank you. Time's 11:44.
We've come out of executive session with no decisions being made. Is there any other business for the good of the county? Hearing none, seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.
So what time do you need us to